You're listening to Travel Nursing and Allied Life, hosted by TravCon.
Hey Nomads, this is Dylan Callier. You might recognize my voice from the New Medical Nomads podcast, but here I am on Travel Nurse and Allied Life to talk about sessions coming up in this year's TravCon. We are a month away from having the conference and very, very excited. And so this is going to be just a brief overview over the types of sessions that we have, the speakers that we have. I'm going to lay down some different sessions that might be important for different people in their journey of traveling. But this will be a very informative episode for those new to travel, those who haven't jumped in yet that might be attending the conference, and those veteran travelers out there that have been traveling for many years. All right, so let's dive in. When you're first coming to TravCon, if this is your first time, the general setup is you're going to enter the massive Paris venue, and there's going to be different rooms. There are main rooms and sessions, which will be pretty apparent and obvious. One of the main rooms is also called the tax room. This is a room specifically for everything tax related, since it is such an integral part of our profession and our business as travelers. Something new this year that we're very, very excited to have. We've been wanting to do this for years, and we've finally gotten big enough where we can. This is the clinical track. So an entire room developed and aimed at clinical topics. So we are very excited to have the clinical track. Keep an eye out for it there. I'll be going through some sessions later on that you can find in that track as well. And then also the Allied room. This will be our second year having the Allied room. This is a specific room for all Allied travelers. We've been doubling our attendance for therapists, for sonographers, for rad techs and lab techs, and everybody else outside of the travel nursing realm. You guys can come to this Allied room, and this is a specific room for you in order to engage some of those specific questions that come from us as Allied travelers. So before the conference even starts, you have some options to come. These are pre-conference activities. They are extra, so if you haven't bought one of these for your ticket, do go back, and if you're interested, look up more information there. But pre-conference, something new this year is the CPI, or Crisis Prevention Training. This was a huge push by travelers because it is such a hard certification to get. So we're very excited to have this and to offer it for our travelers in order to get this and look that much more lucrative as a traveler when you're applying for positions. As always, we have the Newbie Boot Camp, which is specifically for traveling newbies. A couple of years ago, we really revamped it. It's really, really good, solid information. I would say even those travelers that are 2 years in would get a lot of good information out of this. So I've been highly recommending it to all my friends. I know they've got tickets. I would highly recommend it to you as well. And then finally, we have the Medical Spanish Intensive. So if you're wanting to brush up on your Spanish, if you're new to Spanish, this is a great way to come by and learn a little bit more for your Spanish-speaking patients. During conference sessions, we also have some items and some certifications that are going on side of the conference. One is a resume center. This got introduced not too long ago and was a huge success. A lot of people wanted to bring it back. So we still have the resume center. You can go by and have your resume checked out and modified and give some tips and tricks on how to make yourself a little bit more marketable. Other sessions, the BLS, ACLS, PALS, and NRP. These are certifications that you can get throughout the conference. I actually get my BLS at TravCon every couple of years when it's due. I think it's the easiest way. I know I'm going to be there. It's a great way for me to just get it. I know I'm going to be there. It saves me a lot of hassle trying to get it elsewhere. So if any of these are a certification that you're having coming up, I highly suggest doing it at TravCon. And most of these certifications are also front-loaded virtually. So less time is actually needed during the conference for you to do it, but do know that a lot of them have some computer work before you show up, and then it's going to be more minimal time when you show up to the conference. Next, for every traveler. So I'm thinking of sessions that would be very, very helpful for different travelers in their journey. We got the new traveler. Maybe you haven't jumped in just yet. Maybe you are within that first year. Or maybe you just haven't ever heard of the terms like tax home, or really gotten to indulge in some of these communities online, or really your first time to TravCon. I would put all of those individuals in the new traveler. Intermediate, these are going to be the travelers that maybe have been out there for 2 to 3 years, really feeling pretty solid, but you're wanting to know a little bit more behind the scenes. And then veteran travelers, the 3+1s, the travelers that have been to TravCon multiple years, the ones that are going in and learning every little piece of the industry because you've been in it so long, or maybe you're just a super nerd like me and you want to know more. Those would be the veteran travelers. For the new traveler, the first one I'm going to suggest is negotiating between multiple companies with Laura Latimer. This session is always full, so get there early because you're going to want a seat. Also, ensuring excellence at the bedside, strategies to avoid a cancellation with Melissa Nebel. She is a powerhouse when it comes to information. And if you want to learn more about the cancellation process and how to protect yourself from being canceled from a hospital or a facility, this is a must-have and I highly recommend it. I learned a ton when I went there. Strategies for success when the travel market plummets with myself, Dylan Callier. I threw this in there. This is actually in the Allied room because it affected us more as travel therapists, with especially this last year with the pandemic. The travel therapists saw a pretty big dive in the amount of available job opportunities. And so this is just a really good one to make yourself more marketable. It really works well for when the travel market is very, very slim for jobs, but it's also one just to know to make yourself more marketable. So if you're going after that city that you've always dreamed of going, or you're really wanting those high paying contracts, this will be for you. And then finally, the other two, Tax Basics with Joseph Smith and Tax Homes Demystified with Donna Robinson and Joseph Smith. If you don't recognize the term tax home, I've talked to travelers who've been doing it for 2 to 3 years and haven't heard of that before. This is a very big deal. This is something you need to know. I know taxes might not be the most exciting session to go to, but get your coffee, bring your notes. Really, really important to know this stuff. So highly recommend that. And for these new travelers, I actually became a traveling therapist after I went to my first TravCon. So I actually went to TravCon before I started traveling. It really gave me the confidence to jump in. I really felt that I knew what I needed to know to just start. And so if you're on the fence, go ahead and do it. You're going to feel so much better after TravCon and after you get your TravCon family for sure. For those intermediate travelers in technology, with Kendra Nicastro and Jenny Swinerton. This one's being brought back. This was a big hit. Anything to make your journey a little bit easier, whether it's apps for parking, apps for housing, just a lot of different tech, and it's hard to keep up. And so it's great to go to a session that focuses on that. The housing panel with Julia Kuhn as the moderator. This was also brought back in huge success. Housing, in my opinion, is the most stressful part about traveling. And so this is a great one to go to as well. And then the final two are also tax related. Multi-state tax talk with Joseph Smith and per diems and reimbursement tax talk with Joseph Smith. These are a little bit more in depth for the taxes. If you have already got your tax basics down and know what a tax home is, these next multi-state and per diems and reimbursement tax talk are very important, and that's going to be the next step into your journey of understanding this industry. And finally, for you veteran travelers, here are my recommendations. As veteran travelers are getting further into this, might be getting closer to retirement, might be thinking more about that exit strategy from traveling. And so financial health with Joseph Ranke, this is a very good topic. He's very well versed. Highly recommend that. If you're wanting to learn a little bit more behind the scenes about traveling, why are there so many closed jobs on job boards with Laura Latimer? This is going to be a behind the scenes look on why maybe you submit to a job board and all of a sudden they're throwing some other jobs at you. So it might not be a bait and switch, might actually be that the job is closed. And so it's going to be talking a lot about the issues with job boards and how you can be successful utilizing that information. More behind the scenes information for us veterans, explaining VMS and MSP and what they mean for you with Kathy Conkey. And that will be very important, again, for VMS and MSP, those kind of middle players between staffing agencies and the hospitals. Finally, more tax. Independent contracting with Joseph Smith. That's actually, it's going to be on tax information as well as some of the big litigations that we're going through this year around travelers' pay wages. I definitely would check that out. So it's a little less tax and a little bit more new information that really happened this year. And for those that are wanting to take that next step in potential independent contracting, that's a great one to go to. And then finally, the open Q&A forum with Joseph Smith and Donna Robinson. This is a great one if you have very specific questions. Maybe you are kind of have a very specific situation. You got multiple houses. Maybe you have a mortgage somewhere, but your actual tax home is elsewhere. How to prove that. Those really nitty-gritty questions that you have, I would bring those to the open Q&A. And that would be the sessions that I would recommend for those veteran travelers. Lastly, noteworthy and unique sessions. This year, we always have a keynote speaker, and the keynote speaker is always a professional and usually pretty well known. And this year, we have Brenda Elsiger. She is a funny person. It is going to be so good. I would highly recommend going to her session. It is the keynote session, no other sessions going on, so you won't be missing out on anything else. And it is Laughing with Healthcare Professionals, so bring whatever you need to bring to laugh. It is going to be a good session. Your recruiter roundtable for radiology and respiratory. This will be a roundtable with myself in the Allied Room. This is specifically for our radiology and respiratory travelers. And again, Allied Room, we are able to focus on more special nitty-gritty topics that affect less of us that are in the travel space. So whether it be therapy, radiology, respiratory, there's generally less of us than the travel nurses out there, but this Allied Room lets us really focus in and have some smaller sessions. So recruiter roundtable for radiology and respiratory. Be sure to come if you are in the radiology field or respiratory therapist. Another one that is noteworthy is side gigs for healthcare professionals with Tracy Long. One of the benefits of being a traveler is you kind of get to be the captain of your own life, captain of your own ship. And I've seen many travelers that have used this to go and create side gigs for themselves. And this will be a great one if you are interested in that. One in the clinical track that was brought back by wild success was 60 and 60, Evidence-Based Medical Pearls with Landon James. 60 and 60, so it's 60 minutes, and it's just one clinical pearl, one medical study, one new medical discovery every minute. It's pretty cool. Recommend going to that, especially if you're nerdy about new information. And then finally, traveling in an RV. This is a classic. It is brought back multiple years because so many people are interested in it. It's with Steve and Teresa. So if you're looking to go into that RV life, maybe get a little bit more mobile, maybe create a little bit more independence for yourself traveling in an RV, highly recommend. And so that is it, guys. There are more sessions. Be sure to go to travcon.org to see the others. And we will be seeing you guys here in a month. Very, very excited to see you all get together with all the travelers and all the travel fam once again. I know we're all excited. I know we're all very, very looking forward to it. And I would dare say need it. So see you guys very soon. See you in a month. And see everybody in September at TravCon.
Thanks for listening to Travel Nursing and Allied Life. You can find the full show notes below or at travcon.org. Please help us out by rating our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.